The 1970s gave us unforgettable music, groundbreaking films, and stars who seemed larger than life. But the decade also took away some of its brightest talents far too soon, leaving behind legacies cut short and fans forever wondering what might have been. These are 10 stars from the 1970s who passed away tragically. Number 10. Jimi Hendrix. September 18, 1970, marked one of the darkest days in rock and roll history. Jimi Hendrix, the guitarist who had revolutionized the instrument and changed music forever, died in London at just 27 years old. He had been staying at the Samarkand Hotel in Notting Hill when he died from asphyxiation after taking sleeping pills.
The Jimi Hendrix experience is over. The acid rock musician died today in a London hospital.
Hendrix had burst onto the music scene in 1967 with the Jimi Hendrix Experience, releasing a string of groundbreaking albums that showcased his virtuoso guitar playing and innovative studio techniques. By 1970, he had become one of the most famous musicians in the world, known for his electrifying performances at Monterey Pop and Woodstock. The final months of his life had been difficult. He was exhausted from constant touring, dealing with management issues, and struggling with the pressures of fame. He had just returned to London after playing what would be his final festival appearance at the Isle of Fehmarn in Germany, where the weather was terrible and the crowd had been difficult. His death shocked the music world. Eric Clapton, Pete Townshend, and countless other musicians mourned the loss of someone who had shown them new possibilities on the guitar. Hendrix had been in the middle of recording a new album and had talked about taking his music in new directions. The world would never know what he might have created had he lived. Number 9. Janis Joplin.
Good enough for me and my Bobby again.
Just 16 days after Hendrix died, another rock icon was found dead. Janis Joplin, the powerful blues rock singer from Port Arthur, Texas, was discovered on October 4, 1970, at the Landmark Motor Hotel in Hollywood. She was 27 years old. She had died from a heroin overdose, alone in her room between recording sessions.
Janis Joplin, the 27-year-old pop singer or rock singer who took little more than 3 years to get to the top, was found dead yesterday in her Hollywood apartment.
Joplin had been working on her Pearl album, which would become her most successful release. The album included songs like Me and Bobby McGee and Mercedes-Benz, showcasing both her raw power and her vulnerability. Producer Paul Rothchild and the musicians working with her said she had been in great spirits, excited about the new music and planning for the future.
Good enough for me and my Bobby again.
She had struggled with substance abuse for years, though she had made attempts to get clean. Friends said she seemed to be doing better in the months before her death, more focused and optimistic about her career. She had even bought a tombstone for herself as a joke, never imagining she would need it so soon. Joplin had broken barriers as a female rock star in a male-dominated industry. Her voice could be tender or fierce, depending on what the song demanded. She poured everything into her performances, holding nothing back. Her death came during what should have been the peak of her career, cutting short a talent that had only begun to fully blossom. Number 8. Jim Morrison. The summer of 1971 brought another devastating loss, when Jim Morrison was found dead in a bathtub in Paris on July 3rd. The Doors' lead singer was just 27 years old. The official cause of death was listed as heart failure, though no autopsy was performed. The circumstances surrounding his death have remained mysterious for decades.
Morrison died 6 days ago in Paris, either of a heart attack or pneumonia.
Morrison had moved to Paris in March 1971, seeking a break from the music industry and hoping to focus on his poetry. He had grown tired of his rock star image and wanted to explore other creative outlets. He and his longtime companion Pamela Corson had rented an apartment in the Marais district, and Morrison spent his days writing and walking around the city. The Doors had taken a break after their final album with Morrison, and the band members thought he might return refreshed and ready to work again. Morrison had talked about the future, about making more music, about continuing to write. Those plans died with him in Paris. His death was kept secret for several days, while Corson and others dealt with the immediate aftermath. When the news finally broke, fans around the world mourned the loss of one of rock's most poetic and enigmatic figures. Morrison had been a complicated person, brilliant and troubled, charismatic and self-destructive. The Doors would never be the same, eventually disbanding without their iconic frontman. Number 7. Duane Allman. The Allman Brothers Band was riding high in October 1971 when tragedy struck. Duane Allman, the band's leader and one of the greatest slide guitarists in rock history, died on October 29th in a motorcycle accident in Macon, Georgia. He was only 24 years old. Allman had been riding his Harley-Davidson Sportster through Macon when a truck turned in front of him. He tried to avoid it, but crashed, suffering massive internal injuries. He died in surgery a few hours later. The Allman Brothers Band had just released their breakthrough live album, At Fillmore East, and were finally achieving the success they had worked so hard to build. Duane had been the driving force behind the band, bringing together talented musicians and pushing them to explore the boundaries between rock, blues, and jazz. His slide guitar work on songs like Statesboro Blues had established him as a master of the instrument. He had also done session work for other artists, most notably playing on Derek and the Dominoes' Layla. The remaining band members faced a difficult decision after his death. Should they continue without their leader? Eventually, they decided that Duane would have wanted them to keep going. They recorded Eat a Peach as a tribute to him. But the music world had lost one of its most innovative guitarists just as he was reaching his creative peak. Number 6. Bruce Lee. November 27, 1940. Bruce Lee was born in San Francisco, but grew up in Hong Kong, where he learned martial arts and began his film career. By the early 1970s, he had become an international sensation, introducing Western audiences to kung fu films and Chinese martial arts philosophy. On July 20, 1973, he died suddenly in Hong Kong at age 32. Lee had been at the apartment of actress Betty Ting Pei, discussing his upcoming film, Game of Death. He complained of a headache, and Ting gave him a prescription painkiller. He lay down to rest and never woke up. The official cause of death was cerebral edema, swelling of the brain, possibly caused by a reaction to the medication. His death shocked fans around the world. Lee had just achieved major success with Enter the Dragon, which was released in the United States just weeks after his death. The film became a massive hit and made Lee a posthumous superstar in America. He had been in incredible physical condition, and his sudden death seemed impossible to those who knew him. Lee had transcended martial arts to become a cultural icon. He had broken down barriers for Asian actors in Hollywood and inspired millions of people to study martial arts. His philosophy of self-improvement and his dedication to physical and mental excellence influenced people far beyond the world of entertainment. His death at the height of his powers left fans wondering what else he might have accomplished. Number 5. Cass Elliot. Cass Elliot, known as Mama Cass from the Mamas and the Papas, died on July 29, 1974, in London. She was 32 years old. Elliot had been performing a 2-week engagement at the London Palladium and had just completed her final show the night before. She died of heart failure in her sleep at a friend's apartment.
One-way ticket, take me anywhere.
The Mamas and the Papas had been one of the most successful groups of the 1960s, with Elliot's powerful, distinctive voice anchoring their harmonies. After the group broke up, she had pursued a solo career with moderate success. She was beloved in the music industry for her warmth, humor, and generosity toward other performers. A false rumor spread that she had choked on a ham sandwich, but the autopsy showed she had died from heart failure related to obesity and the strain it put on her heart. This myth persisted for years, overshadowing her genuine talent and contributions to music.
Make your own kind of music. Sing.
Elliot had been a trailblazer, proving that you didn't need to look a certain way to be a star. She had faced cruel comments about her weight throughout her career, but maintained her confidence and humor. Her daughter Owen was only 7 years old when her mother died, too young to fully appreciate the legacy Cass left behind.
Sing your own special song.
Number 4. Elvis Presley. August 16th, 1977, is a date burned into the memory of anyone who loved rock and roll. Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll himself, was found dead at his Graceland mansion in Memphis, Tennessee. He was 42 years old. The official cause of death was cardiac arrhythmia, though his longtime prescription drug use had clearly contributed to his declining health.
Elvis Presley died today. He was 42. Apparently it was a heart attack.
Elvis had been scheduled to fly out that evening for another tour. His girlfriend Ginger Alden found him unresponsive on the bathroom floor in the afternoon. Despite efforts to revive him, he was pronounced dead at Baptist Memorial Hospital. The news spread quickly, and fans began gathering outside Graceland, mourning the man who had changed popular music forever.
If I can dream of a woman's son, well.
The last years of Elvis's life had been difficult. His weight had fluctuated dramatically, and his performances were inconsistent. He had become isolated at Graceland, surrounded by yes-men who enabled his prescription drug dependency. Yet he could still deliver powerful performances when he was in good shape, reminding audiences of the talent that had made him a legend.
I can't help falling in love with.
Elvis had dominated popular culture for over 2 decades. He had brought rock and roll into the mainstream, starred in dozens of movies, and performed some of the most memorable concerts in music history. His death marked the end of an era, and millions of fans around the world grieved for the boy from Tupelo who had become the biggest star in the world.
Out there in the dark, there's a back.
Number 3. Marc Bolan. Marc Bolan, the glam rock pioneer who fronted T-Rex, died on September 16, 1977, just 2 weeks before his 30th birthday. He was killed instantly when the Mini driven by his girlfriend Gloria Jones struck a tree in southwest London. Jones survived with serious injuries, but Bolan never had a chance. Bolan had been one of the architects of glam rock in the early 1970s, with T-Rex scoring a string of hits in the UK. Songs like Get It On, known as Bang a Gong in the United States, and 21st Century Boy had made him a superstar in Britain, though he never quite achieved the same level of success in America. During the peak of T-Rex mania in 1971 and 1972, Bolan had been one of the biggest stars in the UK, with screaming fans and hit after hit. His combination of rock and roll, cosmic lyrics, and glittery image had influenced countless musicians, including a young David Bowie, who had been his friend and rival since the late 1960s. By 1977, his commercial peak had passed, but he was in the middle of a career resurgence. He had a new television show and was making plans for new music. David Bowie, his old friend and rival, had recently reunited with him, and they had talked about collaborating. Bolan was excited about the future and felt he had more to prove. His death was particularly shocking because it was so sudden and preventable. Bolan had never learned to drive himself, always relying on others. The tree he crashed into would later become a shrine for fans, decorated with flowers, messages, and tributes. British rock had lost one of its most flamboyant and creative figures, gone just as he was preparing for a comeback. Number 2. Freddie Prinze.
Waiting to be installed. Right next to the pump? Listen, kid.
Freddie Prinze was riding high as the star of the sitcom Chico and the Man when his life came to a tragic end on January 29, 1977. The 22-year-old comedian shot himself at his Los Angeles apartment, dying the following day from his injuries. His death shocked the entertainment industry and devastated his fans. Born in New York City in 1954 to a Puerto Rican mother and Hungarian father, Prinze started doing stand-up comedy as a teenager. Chico and the Man premiered in September 1974, when he was just 20 years old, making him one of the youngest stars on television. The show paired him with veteran actor Jack Albertson, and their chemistry made it an instant hit. Prinze became one of NBC's brightest stars, appearing frequently on The Tonight Show, where Johnny Carson championed his talent.
Can I present Louis Wilson, your local sanitary engineer? Oh, come on, he's a garbage.
Behind the success, Prinze struggled with depression and drug use, turning to cocaine and quaaludes to cope with the pressures of sudden fame. His marriage to Kathy Cochran was falling apart, and by early 1977, they were separated. Prinze was devastated, particularly worried about losing contact with his infant son Freddie Jr., who had been born in March 1976. On the night of January 28, 1977, Prinze was at his Wilshire Boulevard apartment with his business manager Martin Snyder, who had come over out of concern. Prinze had been talking about death frequently. That evening, he made several phone calls to family and friends, saying goodbye to his estranged wife and speaking with his mother and psychiatrist. Around 3:30 in the morning, while Snyder was in another room, Prinze shot himself in the head. He was rushed to UCLA Medical Center, but never regained consciousness. His family removed him from life support on January 29th. He was just 22 years old.
You got 200,
Yeah,
I got 100,
yeah,
Reverend Bemis got
yeah.
50, what can we lose?
So far, 300.
The question of whether his death was suicide or accidental remains debated. His mother, Maria, insisted it was accidental, filing a lawsuit claiming the gun discharged while he was under the influence of drugs. The coroner ruled it suicide based on the evidence and his farewell phone calls.
The Reverend's gonna invest and I'm gonna invest, what do you say?
No.
Chico and the Man attempted to continue without Prinze, but was canceled in 1978. Jack Albertson, devastated by the loss of his young co-star, never quite recovered from the tragedy. Prince's son, Freddie Prinze Jr., was only 10 months old when his father died. Years later, he too would become an actor, carrying on his father's legacy in Hollywood.
Ave Maria Purissima.
Number 1. Keith Moon. Keith Moon, the wild man drummer of The Who, died on September 7, 1978, at a flat in London's Mayfair district. He was 32 years old. Moon had taken an overdose of medication prescribed to help him with alcohol withdrawal. He had been staying at the same apartment where Mama Cass had died 4 years earlier. An eerie coincidence that added to the tragedy. Moon had been The Who's drummer since 1964, joining the band when he was just 17 years old. His drumming style was unlike anything rock music had heard before. Where most drummers kept steady time in the background, Moon played like a lead instrument, filling every available space with rolls, crashes, and unexpected flourishes. Songs like Won't Get Fooled Again and Baba O'Reilly showcased his unique approach to percussion. But Moon was famous for more than just his drumming. His wild behavior had become legendary. He had driven a Lincoln Continental into a Holiday Inn swimming pool, blown up hotel toilets with cherry bombs, and destroyed countless hotel rooms. Behind the wild man persona was someone struggling with serious problems. Moon's heavy drinking had reached dangerous levels by the 1970s, and his marriage had fallen apart. In 1975, his chauffeur Neil Boland was accidentally killed when Moon ran over him while trying to escape from attackers outside a pub. The incident haunted Moon for the rest of his life. By 1978, The Who had been on hiatus, while members pursued solo projects. Moon had been trying to get sober and was taking heminevrin, a medication prescribed to prevent seizures during alcohol withdrawal. On September 6, 1978, Moon attended a party for Paul McCartney, celebrating the premiere of The Buddy Holly Story. Friends said he seemed in good spirits, though he was drinking wine against medical advice. Moon and his girlfriend, Annette Walter Lax, returned to the flat around midnight. He woke early the next morning, ate breakfast, and took more heminevrin tablets, far exceeding the prescribed dose. When Walter Lax tried to wake him that afternoon, she couldn't rouse him. Keith Moon was pronounced dead at Middlesex Hospital. The autopsy revealed he had 32 tablets in his system, nearly 3 times the recommended dose. The coroner ruled his death accidental. The Who were devastated. Pete Townshend later said that Moon's death effectively ended the original Who, even though they continued as a band. Moon's drumming had been so distinctive that replacing him was nearly impossible. They eventually recruited Kenny Jones from the Small Faces, but the magic of the classic lineup was gone. Moon's funeral on September 13, 1978, was attended by The Who's surviving members, along with Eric Clapton, David Bowie, and other rock royalty. His death marked the end of an era. The Who would continue for decades after Moon's death, but they never quite recaptured what they had with him. Moon's tragic death at just 32 years old closed another chapter in the story of 1970s rock, taking with it one of the most unique and talented drummers the genre had ever produced. The 1970s took from us some of the most talented performers of a generation. These 10 stars left behind music, films, and performances that continue to inspire new generations. Their tragic endings remind us of both the fragility of life and the power of the art they created during their time with us. If you enjoyed this tribute to these remarkable artists, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories from music and entertainment history. Which of these stars had the biggest impact on your life? Share your memories in the comments below.